Emotionality is very prevalent in matters of law, and it is also quite detrimental. Emotion can really cloud issues when used inappropriately, as well as be a great exploit for hacking the law, so to speak. First, I will revisit a subject I talked about in a previous video called Bloodlust and Flawed Logic. This will be a brief overview, though, limited strictly to that which is apropos to this broader topic. People seem to value punishing the guilty much more than sparing the innocent. So, in this way, our principle of innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt frequently falls by the wayside. People also seem to view justice as being about punishment above all the things justice is supposed to entail. So the principles that matter, like protecting the public, rehabilitation, and restitution, are greatly undervalued, while punishment becomes the object of our societal hyperfocus. This concept of punishing those viewed as somehow objectively evil in some existential way isn't just philosophically tenuous, but just plain absurd. Nevertheless, that is the way people think. This can be easily exploited by politicians as well, by running on a tough-on-crime platform. In this way, no politician wants to back laws designed to treat people fairly under the law, for fear of being demonized by fallacy-laced political propaganda. In fact, supporting fascism and pandering to people's bloodlust gives one quite an advantage. Much of the propaganda exploits many of the issues I will get into throughout this video. Sex is, of course, a major factor given most people's puritanical views on the subject, so it is not surprising that some laws dealing with this fall victim to emotionality, fallacy, and the political propaganda which pushes us further and further in the direction of fascism. The media is certainly a big factor in this problem, with their dumbed-down, sensationalized coverage. However, it is the beliefs in the minds of many people which allow these ideas to be accepted and to fester. We have a criminal category called sex offender, which can be anything from someone who is convicted of exposing themselves in public, which may be nothing more than the public urination of a drunk, all the way up to someone who rapes and murders children. Unfortunately, pedophile and sex offender are conflated. So you have people who, many of which didn't do anything all that bad, being thought of as pedophiles. We even have registries now stating their names and addresses. It is also very difficult to find employment for these individuals. Your life is just about over after such a conviction. Plus, the registries tend to encourage vigilante justice. Even for someone who actually was convicted of a more serious crime, their fate should be up to the legal system and not the mob. However, the two are moving towards becoming one and the same. In politics, anyone who doesn't advocate dealing with all sex offenders in the harshest way possible will be unlikely to win re-election. If a politician wants to be more lenient with people convicted of less serious sex crimes, they will be branded as a pedophile enabler in the forthcoming smear campaign. Anyone who supports laws designed to rain down indiscriminate brutality in order to pander to people's most twisted desires are then portrayed as heroes. Police brutality is another issue. So many people support law enforcement no matter what they do. Now granted, some cops are the nicest people you could meet and are really there to protect and serve the community. However, there are plenty who are not so agreeable, and much of the public wants to give them a free pass. So we see more and more incidents of police brutality escalating in their severity, and far too many will make excuses to justify it. Then there is the issue of our eroding civil rights. Fear is a powerful tool used to get people to agreeably give up their rights. Privacy and due process are considered expendable if we are safe from terrorists, and the cops are free to catch bad guys so they can be punished. It's hard for a politician to stand up to this. If you do so, you are said to be pandering to terrorists and endangering people's lives. Drunk driving is another issue highly influenced by emotion. They keep wanting to lower the legal blood alcohol limit. An ever-decreasing limit is not the answer, though. It's the drunks that cause the accidents, not people who can barely feel any effects. It isn't that people pass a breathalyzer test and then go plow into somebody. It is that drunks are getting away without being caught. So it's an issue of enforcement and prevention that is the problem, not the legal limit. I think you should have to at least have a buzz going to be cited for drunk driving. The phenomenon is actually self-defeating, too. By lowering the limit more and more, you keep broadening the scope of the people cops have to arrest. This dilutes the number of actual drunks pulled off the road, so they are making the enforcement of the law more and more difficult. If anyone tries to point this out, then they are of course accused of enabling drunks to go out and kill people. Logic and reason goes right out the window when emotion is invoked. The terrible results of drunk driving are used to strongly appeal to emotion, thus granting a blank check for any proposal regardless of lack of efficacy or the severity and number of negative consequences. Finally, we come to the very worst problem caused by emotional appeal in law and politics. The way to ensure that any bill you propose, regardless of what it does, can be pushed through without any resistance is by doing it in the name of children. Children are the gateway to fascism. The mere mention of them puts emotion in total control, and any rational thought is stopped altogether. Even the few who manage to resist the ultimate appeal to emotion trump card must go along with it, lest they be branded anti-children. This tactic is a favorite of the religious right, and is frequently used to push their religion off on the rest of us. It is also employed with great success by the greedy and powerful, so they can further exploit people for their own gain without the slightest challenge to their power grab. I am not saying that law should be entirely devoid of emotion. On the contrary, I think compassion is vital to our legal system. There may be times when a little emotion can be quite appropriate. However, emotion should never be allowed to cloud one's judgment or disable logic and reason. Emotionality should be seen as a warning sign. Whenever something is emotionally charged, odds are there is bullshit to be found. See if the evidence checks out and analyze the validity of the arguments, checking for logical fallacies and propaganda techniques. The fog of emotional appeal is strong, but it does not have a chance in the light of skepticism and critical analysis.